Hello everyone, in this video I will explain about objects and classes. This is part 1 of the video, part 2 will come soon, so stay tuned. This video is meant for the class 10 ICSE students. So let's begin. So what's in this video? Objects and classes, under which we will discuss about real world objects and classes in software, creating objects of a class, access specifiers, syntax of class, contents of a class, and programming questions. Objects and classes. So the general definition is a class is a set of attributes and common behavior. It is a template based on which objects are created. An object is an entity or instance of any class. It acquires the properties of any class. Now let us discuss about real world objects and classes. In real world, each and everything is object belonging to any particular class. Consider the following examples. Smartphone is a class and Apple, Samsung, Motorola are objects as they have the properties of a smartphone. Similarly, furniture is a class and table, chair, almirah are objects as they have the properties of a furniture. Objects and classes in software. In software, we use objects and classes for object-oriented programming. Any class has two components, data members and member methods. Class is a composite data type which can have data of any type along with methods to perform operation on the data. Data of the class can be hidden from external use and can be accessed only through methods of the same class. Objects in a program are like variables which contains one copy of all the data members of the class. Now let us discuss about creating objects of a class. As soon as any object of the class is created, it acquires one copy of all the data members, that means the attributes of the class. Member methods are all shared among the objects. A class can have any number of objects, each will have a separate copy of the data members of the class. Creating object of any class is also called instantiation. Note that creating a class does not require any use of memory. It is just a blueprint. But as soon as any object of the class is created, it requires memory to store its copy of data members. Here is the syntax of creating object. Class name, object name, new, class name. New operator is used for allocating memory for the object. Access specifiers. Access specifiers are used to define the scope of the member, that is data member or member method. Access specifiers in Java. So in Java we have three types of access specifiers: public, private and protected. Public. A member which is declared public can be accessed from anywhere. By saying anywhere, I mean within the class or outside the class or within the same package or from a different package. Private. A member which is declared private can be accessed from only within the same class in which it is declared. Protected. A member which is declared protected can be accessed from the same class or its derived classes. Now there is one more access specifier. In fact, it is not access specifier. It is when you don't specify any access specifier. In that case, if no access specifier is used, then the member can be accessed from anywhere within the same package. So this is syntax of class. When you define any class, you specify the access specifier, then class and class name. Access specifier is optional to write. If you don't write the access specifier for the class or for any member, then by default it is accessible in the entire package. Class name is an identifier. So class name has to be just like variable name or any method name. So this is how you specify the data members. You write the access specifier, which is optional. Then you write the data type and the variable name. And when you define any method, this is how you define with access specifier, return type, method and parameter list. About methods, I have already created 2 videos previously in which I have explained in details everything about it. So if you have not seen those videos, for learning about methods, you can watch those videos first. Contents of a class. class has the following contents: instance variables, class variables, local variables, constructors, and member methods. So let's discuss all of them one by one. Instance variables. An instance variable is declared within the class but outside of any method. It has one separate copy of itself for each object. That means if suppose there is any class named employee and there is an instance variable salary, if we create three objects of this class, namely E1, E2 and E3, then each one of them will have a separate copy of salary. So if my class name is employee and there are three objects like E1, E2 and E3 and there is one instance variable salary, so each one of the object will have a separate copy of salary and can store a different value in it. Now I am going to show you one example in which I am going to explain exactly what is the use of instance variable and how it works. So here I have the class sample. In this class I have declared one instance variable which I have created using the access specifier private. I use the access specifier private with the data members so that the data cannot be accessed directly from outside the class. It implements encapsulation and data abstraction. You can have the class without using any access specifier also, that will work. So I have this method set which is going to assign a value to the variable x, to the instance variable x, and I have this get method which is returning the value of x. So I hope you have understood that already what is happening in this part. Now in the void main, in order to explain the instance variable, I have created three objects of the class. So as we know about instance variable, each object will have a separate copy of it. That means if I have three objects, obj1, obj2 and obj3, then obj1 has a separate copy of x, obj2 has another separate copy, same with obj3 also having one separate copy. So using the first object, I am calling the set method, I am passing 100. So this 100 is for the x of the first object. Then this 200 is for the x of the second object, and this 300 is the x of the third object. Now if they have a separate copy, then three objects having three different x will have three different values. So when I print, they should print like 100, 200 and 300. Then I am changing all three values using the set method. First object I am setting 500, second object 1000 and 1500. So again if I print, they should print different values. So if they are printing different values, that means that they are stored separately in the memory, separate copies per object. So here is the output of this program. As you can see, every value is different. Object 1 is 100, object 2 is 200, object 3 is 300. Then after changing, the new value is also 500, 1000 and 1500. So this shows that instance variables do have a separate copy per object. Next is class variables. A class variable is declared within the class but outside of any method, just like an instance variable. But it has only one copy of itself for all objects. No separate copies are created. It is also known as static variable or static data member. That means if suppose there is any class named employee and there is a class variable bonus, if we create three objects of this class, namely E1, E2 and E3, then all of them will share the same class variable bonus. So if there is a class employee and there are three objects E1, E2, E3, they all are sharing the same class variable bonus. Now if E1 changes the value of bonus, that affects E2 and E3. Similarly, if E2 changes the value of bonus, that affects E1 and E3, and same applies with E3 also. Okay, so a class variable is common for all the objects. No separate copies are created for a class variable. Note, instance variable and class variable both are also known as global variables, as they are declared globally, means outside of any method. So they can be accessed from any method of the same class. Now in my previous video I have explained about global and local variables. So if you have not seen that, you can watch it first. Local variables. A local variable is declared within any function block and has its existence only within that function. It cannot be accessed from any other method of the class. Constructors. Constructors are special member methods of the class which has the same name as of the class with no return type. Constructors are used to initialize the data members of the class. This video primarily covers the objects and classes topic. So in this video I am going to only focus on objects and classes. Constructor will be explained in my next video. So stay tuned for that. Member methods. A method which is declared within the body of any class is known as a member method of that class. Now I have an example to explain all 5 of these things. So in this example I have included the constructor, local variable, instance variable, class variable and member methods. So the class here is class 1. Here I have one variable x, that is the instance variable in the class, and I have another variable y which is the class variable. Now what is the difference? You can see that before the class variable we use the keyword static. So as soon as you write static before any variable name in the class, that becomes a class variable, and if you do not write the static keyword, then it is an instance variable. Constructor, as I told, the name of constructor is same as the class name. So in this case the class name is class 1, constructor name is also class 1. It doesn't have any return type like normal methods do have, but constructors don't have any return type, not even void, because their purpose is not to return any value but to initialize. So I have initialized x using the value of x1 in this constructor. Now these two, setval and add, they are member methods of the class. Here z is the local variable. The difference is that x and y can be accessed from all of the methods, but z can only be accessed from within the add method because it is a local variable in the method add. That means setval and the constructor cannot access z. So that is the difference between local and global variable. Now let's start programming questions. First question, define a class student with the following details: data members and member methods. So in object-oriented programming, in classes and object, when we are doing any program, a proper structure is always given. The question follows a structure and you have to write the program in the same way. Means if there are 3 data members, there are 3 instance variables, you cannot add any instance variable in the class. So extra instance variables not to be added in the class. Although you can have any local variable in method if you need, but the instance variables will remain same. The name of variable has to be same. When you are defining the method prototype has to be same. You cannot change that. You cannot change the method name or anything else related to the method. And whatever operation is required, only that operation you need to perform. So if you follow the structure, the programming is very easy. So here I have 3 data members, as I told, name, role, marks. Name is string, role is integer, marks is double, and 2 methods are there: accept method for inputting student details and print for displaying. Okay, here is the class student. I have declared all the instance variables using the private access specifier because I use it to make the data private so that they are not accessible outside the class. Name is string, role is integer, marks is double. In the accept method I am taking input. Now regarding input, in whichever method you are taking input, the scanner object needs to be created only in that method. Means I am taking input in the accept method as per the question. I am not taking input in void main. So I do not have to create any object of scanner or buffered reader in the void main. I only need to create in that method in which I am taking input. Okay. So since I am taking input in the accept method, I need to create the object of scanner or buffered reader in the accept method only. Then in the print method I am printing the details. In the void main part I am only creating the object of class and calling the methods. Now since I have created only one object s1, so there is only one copy of name, role, marks in the memory, that is for s1. Only one copy is there. If there are 2 objects, there will be 2 copies. If there are 3 objects, there will be 3 copies. And using that I am calling the accept and print method. Okay. Now void main is not compulsory to write in classes and object programming, but I have written it in order to show you the output. So I am executing the program. Here is the output screen. It is asking enter name, role and marks. So suppose I am inputting the name Amit Kumar for an example. Role is 1010 and marks is 98. So same is displayed on the screen. Okay. Moving to the next question. This is the second question. Define a class employee with the following details. Data members are employee ID to store the employee ID as integer, employee name to store the name of the employee as a string, salary to store the salary of the employee as double, tax to store the amount of tax as double. So first method is get data. Only you need to take input the employee ID, employee name and salary. Do not take input the tax. Okay. Void generate tax. You need to calculate the value of tax using if else condition. Conditions are given. Below 25,000 salary, no tax. Between 25,000 to 50,000, 6% tax, and above 50,000, 12%. Then display method, you need to print all the details. Let's see the program. So here is the program. I have created the class employee. All the data members are created inside of the class using a private access specifier and proper data type. In the get data method, I am taking input the employee name, employee ID and salary. In the generate tax method, I am calculating the tax. First one is 0%, then 6% is 0.06 into salary, 12% is 0.12 into salary. Then in the display method, I am printing everything, and in the void main part, I have created object of the class and called the methods one by one: get data, generate tax and display. So here is the output of this program. Enter name, suppose I am inputting Steve. Enter employee ID, suppose I am inputting 1001. Salary, suppose I am inputting 80,000. So here are the details. Let's move to the next question. So this is the third question. Define a class myString with following details. Data members are myStr to store any string, word to store the longest word as a string. Member methods are void getString to accept any string in myStr, void findLongest to find the longest word present in myStr and store in word, void show to display the main string and the longest word present in the main string. Let's see the program. So here is the program. I have created this class myString. Two data members I have declared in the class using the private access specifier myStr and word. In the getString method, I am taking input the string. In the findLongest method, I have used the trim method to clear additional space from the string. Then I have added a space after the string. Word is the instance variable. I have set it to blank, and W is the current word. So in the loop, I am running from 0 to the end of string. I am taking out characters. Then I am forming word. In the else part, whenever any word is formed, we are checking the length of the word. If the length of the current word is greater than the length of my assumed longest word, which is by default blank, then I am taking that as the new longest word, and then W is reset to blank. So by the end of this part's execution, we will get the longest word. In the show method, I am printing the main string and the longest word. In the void main, I am calling the methods getString, findLongest and show. Now let's see the output of this program. Here is the output of this program. Enter any string. Suppose I input hello my India and all Indians. So output is main string hello my India and all Indians, and longest word is Indians. Okay. Let's see the fourth question. Define a class twin primes with following details. Data members are L1 and L2 to store the lower and upper limits as integers. Member methods are void getLimit to accept values of L1 and L2 as lower and upper limit. Boolean check prime int n to accept any number n and return true if it's prime, otherwise return false. Void get twin primes to print all twin prime numbers between L1 and L2 by invoking check prime. So as we can see, L1 is the lower limit, L2 is the upper limit. So suppose L1 is 10 and L2 is 20. So all the twin prime numbers between 10 to 20 are to be printed, like 11 and 13 is there, then 17 and 19 is there. Okay. In the get limit, we are just taking input L1 and 2, and in the check prime, it is for checking one particular number, if that number is prime or not. And get twin prime method is invoking the check prime. So using the check prime method, we will find out all the twin prime numbers. So remember, this is an example of nested function call. The check prime method will not be called from the void main. Instead, the check prime method will be called inside of the get twin primes, and get twin primes will be called from the void main. Let's see the program. So here is the program, class twin primes. There are two instance variables, private int L1 and L2 get limit method for inputting the value of L1, L2, lower limit and upper limit. Then in this boolean check prime method, it will return true or false depending on if the number n is prime or not. In the get twin primes, I have applied this logic where I am running the loop I equal to L1 till L2 minus 2. So suppose if I take the lower limit 10 and upper limit 100, then it will run from 10 to 98, because we are passing 10 and 10 plus 2, means when I is 10 we are passing actually 10 and 12, when I is 11 we are passing 11 and 13, when I is 12 we are passing 12 and 14. So when I will be 98 we will be passing 98 and 100. So we need to run it till 100. If you run it till 100, then it will be 100 and 102. So if both of them are prime, both of them are returning true, I and I plus 2, then we are printing them as a set of twin primes. Okay, then in the void main we have only called the get limit and get twin primes. We have not called the check prime method that is called inside of the get twin prime. Let's see the output. If I run this program entering the lower limit as 10 and upper limit as 100, so these are all the twin prime numbers between that range.